Welcome to Tuesdays at 2 with your co-host, Vicki Semander, founder of the Secrets of the Sistership, and Constance Jones, Sistership board member and vice president of operations for the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. Each Tuesday at 2 will bring you experts in their field to bring useful information that will empower you and Tuesdays at 2 with your co-host, Vicki Semander, founder of the Secrets of the Sistership. Experts in their field to provide useful information that will help you navigate through COVID and beyond. Constance, take it away.
Thank you, Vicki, and thank you all for joining us for Tuesday at 2. As you know, we started this as a great opportunity to provide resources to the community about how to pivot and change and look at their business during this time. We started this session talking about how to work from home with GHG Corporation, Ruby Reynolds, and with Clifton Clark from Computer Decisions, who gave us an IT perspective of getting our workforce ready remotely. We also had on our Tuesdays at 2, we hope Malvo, who last week really helped us understand how to position our firms for strategic alliances. And we started off this month, the month of May, with insights on how to prepare ourselves and our family with mental health and just taking care of ourselves during this time. Well, we thought that it would be very beneficial to bring on an accountant and CPA and a member of the council who can share a lot more information with you about how to get our finances in shape, how to keep those healthy. Economic health and stability is just as important as our health and stability in our for our body and our minds. And so we're asking Darrell Groves with DWG CPA PLLC to come share with us today about information that'll get us financially ready in order to go back into this economic boom. So without further ado, please help me welcome Darrell Groves, Managing Director of DWG CPA.
All right. Thank you, Constance. I want to thank you all for inviting me to participate in this Tuesday's meeting and just appreciate all that you all are doing.
Thank you, Darrell. So Darrell has a CPA firm that has been a longtime member of HMSDC and has helped the organization itself with our finances. So Darrell, tell us a little bit about the history of DWG and what you can provide for clients.
So DWG CPA was initially formed in 2005 and fully launched in 2012. And what we provide is accounting, tax, financial consulting services for a focus on small businesses. What we tend to, I guess, see is that most small businesses have similar types of issues in terms of how they manage their accounting and finance function. And so our goal is to really make that a lot easier for them so that they can focus on their business. We have clients across the spectrum in terms of industries. We have nonprofits, we have clients that are in IT and medical, and we're really just set up to help them to make that not be an issue for them when they're growing their business.
So one thing I know about you, Darrell, is you are a QuickBooks guru. I know that specifically in firsthand because once I found out, I think I had Darrell on speed dial, and then he was like, I'm gonna have to start charging you for my time. And so Darrell, why don't you tell us a little bit about that designation you have for QuickBooks?
So we're definitely several members of the team, including myself. We're QuickBooks Pro Advisors, and I've used QuickBooks since it first came out in '92, and I'm definitely dating myself with that. But when it first came out, there's definitely a lot of accounting packages out there that small businesses or organizations can use. But over the years, what we found is that QuickBooks is really written more with the business owner in mind, as opposed to written for an accountant. So some accountants may not, or initially wouldn't have seen it as the tool that they might would want to use. But the more you use it, you realize that from a client standpoint, they understand it and we understand it. So we feel like we get the best out of the accounting when the client has a really good comfort with the system. So QuickBooks does that for them.
And so one of the things that the council actually picked your brain about several times, and hint, those of you who've been following Tuesday with the Two, you see that we have utilized several consultants that we have interviewed during the time, even with Tristan Sutton, Tiffany Williams, and now Darrell. So when we look at what we did with you by picking your brain to help us create an accounting strategy, why do you feel that it is important for business owners, regardless of size, to actually look at outsourcing accounting functions instead of trying to do those services in-house?
Well, for most businesses, there's an evolution. You know, it depends on where they start off. But if they start off as a single owner that's creating a business, and you know, usually they start off doing it themselves. But as the business grows, they're going to have a need for other people to help, because otherwise they'll become a bottleneck for their business. And so when you're smaller, usually you can't afford to have a CFO initially. I mean, any administrative costs for a small business can be a drag on the profit. And so what we see is that many businesses, once they get to a point where they feel like they can afford it, they end up benefiting more by outsourcing that service so that they can focus on their business. So, I think I look at that with my own business. When I look at those functions that I'm not necessarily the best at, if I do them, I could probably still do it. But is it going to give me time to really do the things that I do best? So I think those businesses that recognize that they should be really focused on growing the business as opposed to dealing with the administrative tasks, they benefit the most from our business, from our services.
So, you know, we talk about at HMSDC all the time about forming strategic alliances, and the workshops that we've been holding at HMSDC with the lead conversations and the CPO power panels and the business opportunity conferences, the resounding message that those organizations are telling our firms in order to help them prepare is formulate strategic alliances. Even Vicki, when we talk to her, we know a little bit about her business ventures. She too is looking at, how do I make myself attractive to partnerships and other opportunities from a financial standpoint when I get ready to go into this alliance. So why is it important that we're not doing shoestring math when we get ready to go to the table to formulate these alliances?
Can you rephrase that last part again, as far as
So why should we have good financials when we get ready to go into an alliance relationship?
Got it. Okay. So usually the financial statements tell the story about what's going on in the business. In fact, you know, if you, you know, from an accounting standpoint, when I look at your financial statements and I can look at it over a period of time, I can know a little bit about your business. And if you're not looking at that or having that information, you don't really have a good picture of where you've been. But when you have I guess a help with that, in providing those financials and those projections for your business. It helps you to really see, what might be a limitation for you as you're deciding, okay, if we're going to take on this project, what are my needs? What can I do? What am I capable of doing financially? So I think having that support really, again, it frees you up to focus on the operational aspects of a teaming alliance, as opposed to really just trying to figure out what did you do on your financial statements.
So let's talk about this year. There's been some crazy changes that we know has happened with us this year. So what can you share with us about the new tax deadline that was extended and afforded to us because of COVID?
So the IRS obviously wanted to free up everyone so that they can focus in on being safe, really not focusing on doing tax returns. The tax return deadline, for most people, was April 15th, and that was extended to July 15th. And again, it was on the one hand, they wanted individuals to be able to focus on, staying safe. The other side of that was that the IRS they had employees that were not working during that time period as well, so they couldn't process the volume of work that usually comes in April 15th. So that change is a significant one. It's the first time in the history of the IRS that the tax deadline was moved for everyone across the country, because that's happened before when we have natural disasters that happen around April 15th, but that's usually in specific areas. But this is the first time everyone's deadline was moved. So that was a big change. Obviously, there was additional programs put in place, such as the stimulus payments that individuals received, and then the SBA loan programs, such as the PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, as well as the Economic Entry Disaster Program. The Paycheck Protection Program, again, this is a new type of stimulus or support for small businesses that I've never seen. They may have had something similar to that in the past, but not in recent times. So that was a significant program in that it allowed forgiveness for a loan that the Small Business Administration was distributing.
And do you have, now that you're bringing up the PPP loan, what advice would you give business owners as far as documentation they should be keeping if they have the ability to secure a PPP loan?
So what was interesting about the PPP loan was that even though it was difficult for a lot of people to get through to submit an application, the level of documentation and information that was required to get the loan was relatively low, because usually to get a loan, from your bank, you'd be required to provide a little bit more background. Credit worthiness would be an issue, and all of that was set aside. Now, for forgiveness, it'll be a little bit different. If you haven't gone out to the SBA website recently, you should have that as a favorite, by the way, because they're changing every day. This is the other unique thing about these programs is that they had to implement them in a very short period of time, because normally when the IRS or even the SBA, when they lay out a new program, it's usually months that everyone has to prepare for it. But over the last several weeks, changes happen on a daily basis. And so you really should be connected with that SBA site. So if you go out there and scroll through to the PPP program, you'll find the application. And if you need help on that, we can certainly help with that. So the application itself is for forgiveness. Now remember, the application to get the loan was, including instructions, was 4 pages. The application itself was about a page and a half. The forgiveness application and instructions is 11 pages. So so there's some I guess they had time to figure out, okay, how are we going to control this? Again, typically you would know before you get the loan whether or not what the rules were surrounding the program. So they've been developing these rules as they go along. So it's a good idea to get that forgiveness application so you can see what's going to be required. Typically, it's going to be your payroll reports from if you have a third-party provider, or you're processing payroll through a QuickBooks or something like that. But it'll also be the mortgage. If you're making mortgage payments or rent payments or utility payments, the support for those payments will also be needed. Yeah, go ahead.
That's good. That's good information to have, because we have a lot of MBEs who are looking at that. And, when it first came out, a lot of the questions we had was, I've not been paying myself, right? I'm a solo entrepreneur. I may be a corporation or LLC, but it's just me, and I take distributions or owner's draws. That's not payroll. So how can I prepare for this? So it's good to know that there's resources out there that, one, can help them understand that, and two, if they outsource or hire your organization, you will help them understand how to submit that information.
Yeah, definitely. And again, this is new to us as well in the accounting profession. So there was a lot of effort in trying to understand how the program was meant to work. I'm a proud member of the Texas Society of CPAs, and also currently president-elect of the Houston chapter of the Texas Society of CPAs. And through our different committees, when the legislation came down and was signed, there was a lot of effort to review it, to try to speculate on how it would be implemented. And once that was done, it's been an ongoing thing just to really gain a better understanding of this program that was meant to be straightforward and easy. But as in most things, that's usually not how it works. But yeah, I definitely encourage business owners, sole proprietors, anyone who did receive the PPP loan, to not wait until after the 8-week period has completed for them to think about how are they going to get forgiveness. Because what we've advised our clients is that forgiveness, 100% forgiveness, if possible, is the ultimate goal. It can be the loan. I guess the loan itself, if whatever portion is not forgiven, it's still a 1% 2-year loan. But if at all possible, you want to be able to get as much of it forgiven as you can.
Absolutely. So one of the questions we received about that is, so one of the entrepreneurs actually cut their employee salary when everything first hit. Can they use the PPP loan in order to reimburse their employees for the percentage that they cut?
That's a good question, and obviously with much of this, it's important to really look at all the facts and circumstances around each individual case. But generally, you will have an ability to make payroll payments during that 8-week period to possibly cover something like that example, where you make a payment for services from the past. There will be other things that the SBA looks for, such as the head count and things like that, to make sure that you actually did bring people back. So
Mhm.
so if it was a case where you cut someone's pay and then you brought them back and then you reimbursed, or let's say you paid them some type of bonus or payment for prior wages, yeah, you should be able to to include that. But
Okay.
again, I encourage you to go through the steps of the forgiveness application, because it's very thorough in what you have to report back on.
Okay. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit and just talk about your firm as a whole. So tell us some of the services that you offer to small business and your clients to help them be successful.
So our primary service that we provide is accounting and tax services, and so what we offer. So we have clients that come at different levels of development in their business. So there are some clients that they really just need us to do the tax return at the end of the year. They're managing their books throughout the year, and for those clients, we would just consider them our tax clients. And so we may occasionally provide ad hoc tax and accounting services throughout the year upon request, but typically we just see them at the end of the year. Then I guess our core clients, I would say, we offer services based upon needs. So we have a silver, gold, platinum, complete. So we have 4 packages that we offer. We consider the silver package being more reactive. It includes quarterly financial statements, helping them with their tax compliance for sales tax, payroll taxes, and the like. And then at the end of the year, when we do the tax return, we will do that as well, but that's a separate fee. For the next level, the gold is more proactive. We're doing monthly financials for them. We're providing review comments just as we review their financials and their books. And in those clients, we set up a quarterly meeting with them where we sit down and go over our financial review comments, and we include the business return at the end of the year in that package. Platinum, it's more strategic. It's really where we're meeting with them every month. We're again doing during the financials, but we're also doing helping them to develop strategic KPIs, key performance indicators, to manage their business. We're managing their budget process, but in all 3 of those packages, those are all what I would call, after the fact, where they are doing the day-to-day financials, but we are, they're doing the day-to-day bookkeeping. And then we come in at the end of the month. Even though we're available for questions throughout the month, we come in at the end and do the financials. The complete is where we're doing the day-to-day. It's really more of an outsourced CFO service that we're providing. And we're do accounts payable processing, we'll do accounts receivable processing, payroll, all of the services that they would look for in a part-time CFO. So it just depends on where the client need is and what is most important for their business. Those clients that are maybe interested in that complete or that outsourced CFO service level, we start off with an assessment of their business and in their accounting and finance functions, and we make a recommendation on what we think would work best, and then they choose what would work, what they want for their business.
And what do you think are the 3 primary mistakes a business owner makes when it comes to their accounting and finances?
3 primary mistakes. That's a good question. So I think I'm going to include one just because of I want to get this in here. You know, the PPP is a really it was a really good opportunity for us to understand our relationship with the banks and our bankers. So I think a mistake that many business owners make is they don't have a strong relationship with their banker. So they don't regularly provide financial statements with their bank or have a contact there that that knows what's going on in their business. So it's a classic situation where they only go to them when they need them. And so when you have any relationship with anyone that you only do that, then you're not going to get that best. So I definitely encourage us to use this lesson of the PPP process to really look at who is our banker. You know, not just who is our bank. Who is it that I can call when I don't know what's going on with a program such as that. That's one. Second thing, on the financial statements, we see that there's not a lot of attention paid to keeping their transactions recorded and just really using the financial statements to help them to understand what's going on in the business. So even though we'll come in and provide our service level to them and we'll make recommendations, it's again more of a reactive approach. We definitely see when a lot of new clients come into us with the mentality of managing their business by their checkbook or managing by cash. If I got money in the bank, I'm doing fine. Well, that's not necessarily the case. So that probably combined a couple of them in there, but I think those are the big thing. But the last thing I would throw in there is the tax planning. Again, the time to really to start thinking about how you can reduce your tax liability is not on April 15th. It's not in January 15th. It's really during the year. So this tax planning should be happening throughout the year, and a lot of business owners don't do that. They wait. They don't want to think about the taxes, but you really should. So tax planning would be the other thing.
Yeah, I know we talk about that a lot at HMSDC, and that's one of the things that we actually tell every new MBE when they come into the organization is that you have to have a relationship with your bank. That your banking relationship just shouldn't be going in and making a deposit through the drive-through, because you never know when you might need the additional resources and services that they have to offer. And so I'm glad that someone else echoed that same sentiment.
Yep.
And just to let our listeners know that HMSDC actually has a program where you can utilize the professional services expertise of a firm like DWG. So we'll be releasing information on that total business development program that I'm telling you about. Darrell is a professional services provider that we encourage firms to actually utilize in order to get expert services in the areas of accounting. And so we like to make sure that we surround you with all the resources needed in order to really help your business grow and develop. And so, Darrell, do you have any last comments that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I just would just let everyone know that you should, just as with your bank, you want to make sure you have a strong, good relationship with your accountant, and really all of the supporting professionals that you have working. You should really think of them as your team, your management team, particularly if you're a smaller business, but even as you get larger, if you're using an outsource, accountant to support you, you want to want to treat them as a member of your management team and utilize a resource that's available. But no, I think one thing I will say that we really enjoy, dealing with the various clients that we have, because we learn so much. Oftentimes we see, these individuals and companies that come up with great ideas to provide something. It just inspires us to support them through that effort. So we really look at ourselves as part of their team. But again, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely. And Darrell, why don't you tell our listeners how to reach you?
The easiest way to reach us is through our website. It's DWG CPA TX.com. Or you can contact us by phone at 281-201-8348.
One more time.
281-201-8348.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Darrell, for participating in our Tuesdays at 2. I'm sure our listeners got a lot of information as it relates to their accounting and what they should be looking towards for the future in tax preparation. You shared some definitely insights with us, and I can honestly attest to Darrell's commitment to making sure we get our business in order, because trust me, I did wear him out when the council first looked to his direction for some of that assistance in with our QuickBooks. So again, Darrell, we thank you for participating and glad you were able to make it.
Thank you, Constance.